What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Super Gamer Boys. This is episode 115.5. So this will be released alongside the one coming out tomorrow, 115 here.
115.5 HD remix.
HD remix. This is the Kingdom Hearts remix of our regular show. That's why JJ's not here, because he doesn't like Kingdom Hearts. But we are coming to you live at 7:47 on Tuesday, July 6th, with
In the
just
PM.
earth-shattering news here that everyone's probably already heard about. So we're jumping right into the nerdy nudes. Um,
That
so
released the day after we finished recording our episode, by the way.
right,
I just want to make sure that's known.
yeah, that's why we're doing this, is because like, really, we recorded yesterday. Our episode comes out tomorrow. We're gonna look like idiots if we don't talk about it. So here we are, the breaking news segment here. That's right. A new Nintendo Switch is on the way, and it is called Nintendo Switch OLED Edition.
Who, baby.
That is what they're calling it. There's some cool names thrown out there in the past with some of these rumors that were coming around, the Super Nintendo Switch and news Nintendo Switch, because the 3DS did that stuff. But honestly, I like it. It's simple. It just gets straight to the point what it is. What is this? It's a Nintendo Switch with an OLED. Perfect. Awesome. And
see, you missing the best details. The OLED is the icing on the cake.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I can dive in here if you want me to read off some of these features. You're interested.
Go ahead, be my guest.
Okay. I mean, unless you don't want me to, we don't have to.
No. Please.
All right. Yeah. So let's get into this. So a new version of Nintendo Switch was expected this year, but we didn't know exactly when or what would be different about it. Now we know a version with a larger OLED display is coming October 8th, right alongside the company's biggest holiday game, Metroid Dread, which I didn't realize that. That's awesome. I cannot wait to play Metroid Dread on this thing. The suddenly announced new Switch feels like an afterthought. No fancy new name like Super Nintendo Switch. Okay, CNET. Well, this article's from CNET. I don't know about that. I think the name's fine. It explains exactly what it is.
It's exactly what it is.
If you're expecting a brand new Switch 2 with all your wishes fulfilled, this isn't that. What this does look like is an incrementally upgradable, dockable Switch with a few extras that could very well be worth the extra $50 if you don't already own one. Let's see. What's new? So this one, as we mentioned before, icing on the cake, 7-inch OLED display. The new Switch is about to get a slightly larger OLED display. The 7-inch upgrade should at least make it easier to see small text compared to the 6-inch Switch that's available now. The switch to OLED should mean a more vibrant display with better black levels, but we haven't seen a display in action yet to compare them. It's still a 720p resolution screen, though. They say that like that's a negative, but you were mentioning it before the show. Share with the folks in the audience what we were playing with previously on like 3DS.
Before this, I feel like people forgot that we were basically playing I think it was about 480p, sometimes 60, sometimes 30 frames a second games on 3DS. And then as soon as Switch came out, everybody was like, "Oh my God, 3DS is unplayable. How did we ever play this?" And it's the same thing happening here again, right?
It's so funny.
The Switch for 4.5 years has been at least, what's the word? Standard. It's had a standard run, and some super hardcore gamer, I don't know who, it was probably a collective of them, was like, yeah, Switch is cool, but it doesn't run at 8K 240 frames a second like my PC
gamer.
does.
It's probably a PC gamer.
I
Get
guess
outta
it's
here.
just automatically trash now. Nintendo has really fallen off. I can't believe that they didn't put a 3090 in my Switch when it came out in 2017. Golly. But it's just, I don't know. It's at the top of it. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, right?
Yeah. So
I hope that this is a lesson for everybody now. If the news does not come from Nintendo or anyone who works at Nintendo. Do not believe it.
Yeah.
Don't believe it.
I think that that's exactly what it comes down to. Because for the past, what, 2.5 years, there's been rumors of a Switch Pro, like, for almo like, forever, which is crazy, like, the Switch is only, what, about 4 years old now, and for the last, like, almost more than half its lifespan, people have been like, "Okay, when's the Switch Pro coming? When's the Switch Pro? It's
Right.
gonna have 4K, it's gonna have this, it's gonna have that," and everyone just expected this major thing, and everyone hyped
It's
themselves
just
up
like
into a
directs.
frenzy, and it's like, then now here it is, like, what, Switch, quote unquote, Switch Pro, that everyone is hyped
And
for.
Nintendo's was
And
like, "What are you talking about? We're just fixing a couple of things here and there. Who told you
yeah,
that this was gonna run 4K 60 frames a second? Who told you that? Did we
yeah,
tell you that? I don't think we did."
Jeff Grubb told him that. That's who it is.
Right.
Uh,
Somebody, the janitor or the facilities manager at Nintendo was like, "Yeah, I remember they were talking about something four with a K, I think." And then Jeff Grubb was like, "Oh my god, I have to get on what is he at? Where's he at? GamesBeat? I
James
have to get on
B. Yeah.
GamesBeat right now."
But yeah, so they have the new OLED display. There's a better kickstand, which honestly, I'm pretty stoked about the kickstand. The current
Me
kickstand
too, dude.
is so scary. Whenever I set it up, I'm like, there's no way it's gonna last 10 minutes. It's gonna snap off, it's gonna be gone, and I'm always surprised that it'll last like a gaming session, you know? I'm ready every time I flip it out even just to put it in place. I'm like, "This is it. It's gonna, instead of popping in place, it's just gonna go snap and fly across the room. Like, this is it." So this new kickstand is like the entire length of the back of the Switch, and it looks like it's about, what, like an inch long? It's like a
Yeah,
paddle, and it
it's
comes
it's
out, and it
like
has
the
multi
Microsoft Surface stand.
exactly. Yeah, it has
Yeah,
multiple, like, spots where you can stick it. They have different viewing angles. And I'm like, honestly, this is a great quality of life change. You know, it might not be
exactly.
Switch Pro or Switch 2, but just so I don't have to fear for my kickstand every time I pop it out, like, oh, this is great. Like, I don't have to worry about snapping that thing off
See,
and
for me,
buying
this is
buying a
a
cheapo
perfect
from
use
Amazon.
case.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a I play in tabletop a lot, right? I'm the
Mhm.
guy in the first ever Switch commercial, like the girl at the party, who brings the Switch out and puts it on the table and starts playing tabletop with everybody else, right? So
Yeah.
for me, having a secure, stable kickstand is like paramount.
Mhm.
I play in handheld and I play in tabletop a lot. And then when I'm not playing in handheld, I'm playing online games like your Smashes, your Splatoons that I feel require a good hard line connection.
100%.
So a built-in LAN port is
Game
I
changing.
can't ask for anything more. I don't have to buy a
Like,
little dongle. It's just there.
yeah. I know so many people were just like, "Oh, wow, is that what the $50 is for?" Because it is $50 more. It's $350 instead of 300. And it's just like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, I wouldn't. Like, I wouldn't go onto this page, but honestly, like, I'm so stoked about that because I have, like, 3 dongles and I've lost all 3 of them. Like, if I need to plug in my Switch to actually play online and not lose internet,
Right.
like, because 'cause I'm not right near the Wi-Fi router, and their services are already sketchy even plugged in, let alone, over Wi-Fi. So, yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm stoked for that. Like, I'm like, "Okay, yeah, you lose a USB port. Big whoop." Like, now I have an Ethernet port, and I know I can just plug that sucker in no matter where I go. I don't have to remember a stupid dongle. I think it's a great addition there. They bumped up the internal storage, so now it's 64 gigs instead of 32, so doubled your internal.
Nice little jump. Would have
So
would have rather had 128. Would have paid a
yeah,
little more for
it's
128, but
not
what can
huge,
you do?
but better than 32. It's better
Yeah.
than 32. Again, it's just like it's not a huge major leap, but it's like these smaller incremental things that's like, okay, they're at least heading in the right direction, right? Like things are going the right way. It's just maybe when they get to a Switch 2 one day, it is gonna be like, okay, we nailed it. We got it. Here we
Now,
go.
here's what I got to do right
Mhm.
now. Okay. So I need to take the record and I need to flip it over. I need to change it to the B side, right? Before
Okay.
everybody goes, "Oh man, they're just bootlicking."
Mm.
Check it out. Just because I'm okay with how Switch games perform in most cases right now does not mean that I don't think that we could use hardware to make them better, right?
100%. I'm not against a
The
Switch Pro one day.
I am exactly. I'm not against the idea of a Switch Pro. I'm not
Mhm,
against even if we're wrong and a Switch Pro does come out because I'm gonna get that too, right? The problem here is the vitriol that is being uh pointed and aimed at Nintendo
mhm.
for something that they never even said was coming in the first place.
Yeah.
That's the issue here. Now, does Nintendo make a lot of terrible decisions? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do they sell games and then have an arbitrary deletion date on digital ones? Yeah. Does the Switch not have
100%.
features that the Vita, that the Xbox, the original Xbox in 2001 had, aka Party Chat? Yeah. Are Switch online games terrible? Is Smash terrible most times with a
Yeah.
Wi-Fi connection?
Most
Absolutely.
most times, yeah.
Right. There are tons of things Nintendo could fix. And I would agree with you on every single one. But this is a case where this is totally unwarranted. They never
Mhm.
said anything about it. And it's just a modest update that I personally like. I'm maybe one of the three people who like this. This is directly aimed at me. Like this is
100%.
everything I was complaining about outside of power and software updates. Because after this, everything is just software updates and optimizations that I need.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I felt the same way when I saw this. I'm like, okay, this is perfect. I've been talking about like, okay, I'm ready to upgrade my Switch. Mine's getting a little beat up. It's I there's a couple quality of life things I'm looking forward to potentially being in the next iteration. What is this? And when this came out, I'm like, okay, like, yeah, it doesn't do 4K, but I don't need to do 4K because who cares if it's in 4K? Like, yeah, I have a 4K TV, but honestly, most of the time it's either going to be handheld or I'm gonna have it plugged into my 1080p monitor down here.
Here,
Like, I don't need it
here's
4K. Like, it's not.
here's a hard truth,
Yeah.
right? Here's a hard truth that a lot of people who are upset, oh, it doesn't even do, it won't even do 1080 60. 1080 is 1080 60 is the standard. How long has 1080 60 been a standard? Because if I recall
In the
correctly,
console worlds, not that off
e-
that not that long.
exactly, because if I recall correctly, PS4 had a time trying to at least get 1080 60. I'm
Did
not
they come
talking
out
about Pro. I'm not talking about Xbox One X. I'm talking about Xbox One and PS4. So at least until 2017, games weren't consistently hitting 1080 60.
and that's a
So
console, not a handheld device.
exactly, that's what I'm saying. So you expect for the iteration of this next system to be able to hit a reliable 1080 60 on its own, still give you three or what is it, 4.5 to 8 hours of battery life, and then you expect it to have good enough internals so that unassisted by a dock, it's able to output games in 4K. Do you understand that
Foolish.
PCs need fans to play games in 4K? And you want a tablet to play games in 4K?
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Okay.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I was just scrolling through the tweet from Nintendo. Like at the top, it's like, hey, here's our video, which is a great little video. Which, by the way, I love the white Joy Cons and I love the white dock. Like I'm
Yeah, it looks
100% getting
sick.
a white one. I'm like, yep, I'm in 100%. Like that's a beautiful, beautiful system there. Then you scroll on the comments and it's just like, just yeah, so much hate and vitriol and just bitterness, and it's just so sad to see because I don't know, like it just like it just comes across like, "Oh, wow, are we really that, like, spoiled or entitled that we can't just be happy that they're making anything for us?" They could've just been like, "Screw you, like, you're not getting anything until the next our next full console," which could be who knows how long with Nintendo, you never
But
know. And
that's
it's just
basically
like
what they're saying, right?
yeah,
You got to think about another hard truth, right? You, me, everybody watching this, right? We are I was listening to Gary Whitta this morning. He was
mhm,
absolutely right talking about it. He said we are like 0.00039 of the 100 million, almost 100 million sales of the Switch, right?
Mm,
Nintendo has to have marketing data to back up the fact that while you and me and these four other guys or these five other people watching the stream right now, yeah, we would like a Switch that plays stuff in 1080, right?
yeah,
But if I go to my next door neighbor's house, there's a 90% chance if I show them a Switch screen, they're going to be just fine. They're going to be just fine playing it as it is.
yeah,
I'm talking about not even the OLED, right? I go upstairs, I take that screen to my mom, I take that screen to my little cousin, I take that screen to my grandma, anybody else that's not us, they will not know the difference, right? So I think that's one of the big things that people are forgetting as well is that we are not the hardcore. I'll say the ultra hardcore are not the market for the Switch,
right.
and I just it baffles me that people don't understand this.
Yeah,
Like if they only catered to the hardcore market, what would they have sold?
yeah,
Maybe what, a few 100,000.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, like they would have made, yeah, all the hardcore people excited, but then everyone else would be so intimidated by like, okay, what am I dealing with here? Like it
No
might be,
developers are making games because of the market being so small.
yeah. Yeah. No, it's crazy. Yeah, I just yeah, I already said it, but
Yeah,
it's just
it's
like
just
so sad.
it's two sides of the same coin. I get you.
Mhm.
I don't like having to play Xenoblade Definitive Edition at 540p. Not a fan of it. But at the same time, I understand that I'm probably one of the four people who complained about it being 540p. And everybody else, you know what they did? They just played it. They just played it.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's amazing about the Switch is like there's people who have no history in video games playing it because it's just accessible and easy and It l it's a mighty fine machine that runs games perfectly fine for exactly 99% of people. So, it's like, that's who they're that's what the marketing is for the Switch, is to everyone who is a light gamer or has never touched games, and now it's this easy device where they can bring it up and play some chill Animal Crossing or explore Hyrule in Breath of the Wild or play some Mario Party with friends or something and not have to worry about a crazy powerful console that's going for like the best graphics or a
Right.
PC that you have to know have like a master's in science to like put together and update and
Update
upgrade
the
and
drivers,
yeah, like I don't I ain't there's stuff on my PC I barely even know what to do. And it's just
install
like
your Radeons.
exactly. So I I'm right there with Nintendo. I think they're doing the right thing. They know their audience, and they're hitting the nail right on the head with this, and I am on board for it. Like I already said that. I was gonna mention it in the Discord earlier, and I forgot to send it, but it's coming out on the 8th. That's like 8 days, like a week before my birthday. I'm like 100%. I'm getting
You
this.
lining
That's
I
my
was gonna say, are you
birthday.
lining that up?
100%. I'm making the calls now. I'll be like, hey, grandma, hey, auntie. I really, cash is fine. Cash is
Right.
fine.
I would really like, a card full of just, you know what, just $50 is fine.
50,
$50 will work.
50 is good. 50 is good. Um, but yeah, so I'm so stoked. I'm like, oh, perfect timing. And it comes in a dope color. I get to play a brand new Metroid game on it. Like, this is
Dude,
a
I'm gonna do the
crazy,
same thing I always
this
do.
is such an
Just sell the one
exciting,
I have,
yeah,
pay $100 and give me the new one.
totally. 100%. Now it is interesting here though. I do want to bring up Jeff Grubb and all his wisdom,
Infinite wisdom.
infinite wisdom. Now obviously he's not solely him, but he has been definitely one of the big banner waivers there.
Yep,
Um,
him and Bloomberg.
but he put out a tweet today that says, well, actually, I can't find the original one. He mentioned something that he thinks that there still could be a Switch Pro. This might not be it, which kind of blew my mind because I'm like, are you kidding me? Like this feels like it, right? I can't find the exact okay. I don't know anything beyond hearing that devs were prepping for a Switch Pro in 2022. but if you buy both, oh, that was in response to someone. But yeah, I still have only ever personally heard 2022 for Switch Pro. And if that still happens, I'll continue to speculate that we'll have 4K output with a significant more efficient chip with DLSS, which is like NVIDIA's
Mhm.
4K upscaling. It's fake 4K. Anyone think this is the last Switch from the company that released 6 3DS models? And then his next tweet, the one I actually was just going to read again, because that's the big argument, is like, why in the world would they put out this one that's $50 more than the original one, and then a few months, 7, 8 months, release, say, the Switch Pro for more money and, piss off all the people who just bought this one? Here's his
And then
arguments. I know you have thoughts, so let me read his tweet real quick here.
yeah.
So his thing is, this is a thread a little bit. People make a good point. How can it, if you can't sense the sarcasm, there's lots of sarcasm in this. People make a good point. How can Nintendo release another Switch anytime soon if it releases OLED this year? For example, Microsoft could not release a more powerful Xbox in 2017 after releasing the Xbox One S in 2016. That would be like Sony releasing a PS4 Slim right now before a PS4 Pro. Impossible. To be clear, I'm not saying that Nintendo definitely will release a Switch Pro next year. I'm just saying that I'm unconvinced by anything people are saying to me about why the OLED means it's more unlikely. And people at Digital Foundry and at Nate the Hate 2 have been saying for months since Bloomberg OLED report in March that there could be multiple models in the works. I feel like this is a case of people having a case of selective hearing. That's what he had to say. I know you have thoughts. Go ahead.
So I definitely don't think that the comparison to Microsoft and Sony here is apt, right? So the One X and the PS4 Pro, well, the One X is in a totally different market, right, than the One S. The problem with that is I remember there being a good gap of time between the original Xbox One and the Xbox One S, right?
Mhm.
Wasn't there at least a couple 3 years before we
Oh,
got a One S?
quite a few
And then
years.
the
I could
same
do it real
thing
quick, but
for
yeah.
right, and then the same thing for the Slim. We had what 3 4 years before the Slim came out. So by Jeff's logic, right? Okay, they put out the Super Switch. And now you have a console which we'll say tentatively, we don't know the cost at the end, is $400. So now you have a Switch that's $400. You have a Switch that's 350. You have a Switch that's 300, and you have a Switch that's 200. You sit there and you tell me how to explain that to mom, how to explain that to grandma,
Yeah.
right? Look at how hard of a time Microsoft is having trying to explain people, oh, this is an Xbox One S, this is Xbox Series S, and this is an Xbox One X, this is Xbox Series X, and it's not Xbox One like the first Xbox. No, we called this Xbox One, but we don't make Xbox One anymore. We don't make Xbox One or Xbox One. We just have Xbox Series, not one, Xbox Series X. You see what I'm saying?
So crazy. By the way, between the S and the 1, it was 3 years, 2013 to 2016.
Okay. So here's the thing. You were mentioning, okay, so if we do the Super Switch, then we boot the original Switch. So it's just Super Switch, OLED Switch, Switch Lite. So if Switch OLED comes out in October and he's saying that the Super Switch is going to come out in 2022, that means that if you take the original Switch out, now you have 399, 349, and 199. That doesn't make sense, right? If you take the original Switch out, you would bump the price of the OLED down to 299. But you're gonna do that less than a year after the console's been out, so that
Mhm.
you screw all the people who paid extra $50. So what you're telling me is you knew that stuff wasn't worth $50. You just charged me $50 for it, right?
Right.
This isn't a situation like the 3DS where they had to cut the price of the 3DS that quickly because it was at that point it was a sinking ship. But thankfully it worked out. They had no choice. This wasn't that was a move of desperation, right? Nintendo is not desperate here with the Switch. They're killing it.
Definitely not.
They're nearing 100 million. They don't have a reason to cut prices.
Well, then they don't cut the price then. What they keep it 350 and, it's not as, what do you say? Like, um, I wanna say the word parallel, that's not the word I'm thinking of, but, like, it doesn't look as good, 'cause they have to have 199, 299, 399, like, that would l just look pretty on a billboard, but, I mean, then d does that just mean they just keep the same price and still cut
But
out
then
the
here's the
lower
other
end one?
problem is does the light line start to suffer, you think? Because of how big the gap is between the two? Because if I'm telling you something is only $200 over here, and I'm telling you something is way more expensive over here, if I'm an informed buyer, I'm going to be asking questions like, well, what is it about this model that makes it so cheap versus the other ones? Why is it a lackluster experience I'm getting over here versus the OLED or higher? Right?
Well,
And this
I
is
mean, I think they just pitch it the same way they've been pitching it, like, this is just the more portable version, like, it doesn't have detachable Joy-Cons, has a smaller screen, like, it's literally made they almost should rename it the Switch Pocket or something like that, like, it's obviously not that small, as their other pocket devices
close
that they
enough.
make, but, I mean, they, like that's what they almost need to do or should do is because then I think people could look at it and be like, "Oh, I get it, it's a Switch, but it's meant to, like, yeah, literally throw in your pocket or backpack and take it to go. Where, yeah, having the name Switch Lite to the gamer kinda gets it across, like, "Oh, I get what's going on," but yeah, you're right, to, like, a mom, pa, grandma, whoever, they're gonna be like, "Now, what's going on here? Like, is that garbage? Like, I don't know, am I buying the right thing?" And that's more of an issue with the Switch Lite than
Well,
it is
it's an issue
than it is with the
with
Switch.
marketing, right?
Yeah.
Because if Nintendo is supposed to be about simplicity, they're the easy company to get into. You buy this, you buy games, you play.
Mhm.
Introducing all this new hardware into a lineup where basically then you would have four systems is almost seems like it would be against the marketing philosophy.
Mm,
I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of variables here at play
mhm.
that I feel like introducing a new pro switch so soon in is going to cause a lot of confusion for and it's circling back to like I was saying before. I get it, you get it, the chat gets it, nobody else gets it, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that's where you have to Jeff has to come out of the mindset that they are catering to nerds. They're catering to gamers. They're not. They're catering to people who play games. There just happens to be games for gamers and things that gamers can do.
I think yeah, that's exactly the consoles are catering to, like, people yeah,
Gamers. Like
uh,
I expect hardcore 4K 60 frame 120 frame from this Series X right here, right? I
right.
expect that because that's not built for people who play games.
Right.
So
Yeah, so I think it's like, yeah, so the consoles are definitely geared towards more like the type of people like the everybody, the anybody, where the games is where that's where they're hitting the hardcore people because like, yeah, we did that Nintendo Direct React. And like there's games on there we are losing our minds on that some people are just like, I don't like that doesn't look interesting to me at all. Like I don't get it.
they were bugging. I
Um
still can't wait for WarioWare.
so I think that's how Nintendo's doing it is like, yeah, the consoles aren't like hitting the hardcore gamers and stuff like that and giving them the 4Ks and everything. But I think what they are, the way they are catering to those hardcores is like, hey, you've been with us for 20, 30 years. Here's some nostalgia for you. We're remaking this game or making a sequel to this game.
Oh God,
And
don't get them started on the old games uh getting ported to Switch, dude. That's a whole nother beast
yeah.
that they're angry about.
Yeah, but I think that's how they're catering to the hardcores is because it's like, hey, like we know you love these franchises and we're bringing
But
them
are they
back.
are they catering to them? Because all I seem to see online is people crying about it, right? Like people are
Yeah.
upset about Skyward Sword, like and the fact that they have to pay for it.
Then what I would have to say to those people is just like, get the stick out of your butt and just like, come on, like they're video games, like have some fun. Like obviously, like that's my final thoughts on the whole thing is I'm excited for this Switch. I'm definitely gonna pick one up, and I don't understand like it just makes me sad to see that people can't just enjoy this nice thing we're being given. Nintendo doesn't have to make anything for us. They could shut down their doors and be like, okay, someone else figure it out. They're not because they like to make money, but it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, it just,
that's
it
what
just,
their business.
they're a business, but it just
And
blows my mind that like people are so just like, make me happy. And it's just like it's just this American consumeristic culture of ours. It's like it's gotta be for me. And in my mind, I'm just like, I just like video games and I think it's cool no matter what we get. Like that's my mindset with games is they're just cool and let's just enjoy what we get, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how
I
I
mean,
just
that's no, but that's your opinion, right? So
yeah, exactly.
the problem is that people want, and not everybody, right? But the people who are the loudest online are the ones who are like basically what it boils down to is, why is my Switch not a PS5?
Yeah. Everyone wants that. And it's like if you want that, then just go get a PS5, right?
And again, I'm a roll back, right? I'm not against the idea of a Switch Pro.
Oh,
I'm with you guys that when I play some games, I can definitely see that there needs to be a little more beef on those bones, right?
yeah.
Hyrule Warriors and running at point 0.3 frames a second, and Xenoblade being at 540p at 144p is definitely making cases for why we need a little bit more beefy hardware, right?
Mhm.
But like, and basically, I'm running in circles here, but we're not the market. People will just play it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, when that Switch Pro does come out,
I'm
again,
there.
I'm there. I'm
I'm
gonna
there.
100% trade in, trade in, upgrade, whatever I do, sell mine.
I'll trade in my
Um,
I'll trade in my OLED for it. I'll
yeah,
do the same thing again.
100%. So I was like, yeah, not against it. It's just people got to realize yeah, exactly. They're here to make money, their business. You mentioned that a second ago, and this is how they're gonna make money is doing these incremental changes and being upset about it. Yeah, obviously let them know what you think. There's nothing wrong with giving your opinions, but it's
Oh
like
no,
it's the
never don't
anger.
give your opinion.
It's the
Always.
pitchfork and flames that we're seeing on the internet. It's like, guys, really? Like we're all adults here, right? At least most of us, we're mostly adults here. At least we all should be on Twitter, right? When you sign up. And yeah, craziness. But yeah, so there you go. There's your update for the breaking news today, your episode 115.5. Thank you guys for joining us. Adrian, any last thoughts before I completely run us out of here?
Um, I don't know. Just play some games, live your life.
Don't hate.
There'll be
Just
more
love.
hardware.
Just love people.
There
Just
will
show
be
some
more
love.
hardware. There will be beefier hardware. It is just not going to be today.
Yep. Not today. Maybe next year, according to Jeff Grubb. Next year. You heard it here first. Or not. You heard it at Jeff Grubb first, but All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to us rant here. We appreciate each and every one of you. And remember, you can support us here by subscribing at twitch.tv/the Super Gamer Boys. You can find us over at YouTube at youtube.com/Super Gamer Boys. We're on all podcast services. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/Super Gamer Boys. You can support us over there and get episodes early and ad free. So the episode coming out tomorrow, you can actually have listened to it today and last night even. And yeah, we appreciate all you guys who support us over there. So thank you all very much. You have a good night and go out and have some fun. We'll catch you guys on the flippity flop.
Yeah.